So we're the Hungry Workshop, and we're a small design studio and letterpress print shop. That's our logo. Up there is a video of Jenna printing a project that we just finished up. It was an exhibition that we organised in Sydney. It was a really great project, and she's printing that on an Asburn, which is a 1969 proof press. We have 3 presses. This is one of them. Our big workhorse press is a 1970s Heidelberg windmill, and our most recent acquisition is was a 1907 Chandler and Price, and it's like a foot-treadled old beast, but it needs a bit of TLC, but we'll get it up and running soon. Yeah, so this exhibition that we did in Sydney featured the work of 10 artists. Luke Lucas was one of them, so big thanks to him for helping us out and participating. The way it worked was we printed 5 of the works in one colour and then 5 in another colour, so a kind of like a teal colour and then like a fluorescent kind of magenta. And then we overprinted the artworks and created these one-off prints. And our role with that exhibition was to curate the show, so we organised the brief, so we came up with the brief for it, we got the artists together and then we printed and executed it. And we also went up to Sydney to install it, which was really good fun. We decorated the space with these letterpress leaves, which you can see up there. Our intern Magda helped us out. She spent a whole day assembling them together, and then at the end of the day, I sent Jenna up the ladder. I stayed down the bottom, held on to it, and she hung them up from this very, very high roof. So it was really good fun. We wanted to analyse the kind of projects that we do, and they really fall into 3 categories. We do design projects, so we work directly with clients. We do print projects where we work with other creative people around town. We also work on studio projects, which are projects that are self-initiated, and they often don't have a brief from outside, things like that. So yeah, we'll show you what that looks like, and Jen will explain a little bit more.
So these are some of our design projects that we've done. We do things like stationery, wedding invitations, business cards, small branding projects, and a bit of web stuff. Some of it ends up on the press. All these, except for that one, have been on the press. They're the ones that we especially like because we get to start with the brief and the idea and carry it all the way through, working with the client, and then actually printing it on our press, finishing it, packaging it, and handing it over. So we've been involved in that entire process, or done the entire thing. A few of those that are showing, that's an invitation that we did, and we hand-sewed all the badges on. It's not really something you can do if you've got 500 pieces to do. We did a kayak skin, which is showing right now. And then we designed and printed some notebooks for Mohawk Paper Show a few years ago. So it's all sorts of, it's pretty varied work, which is fun. And then some print projects that we've done. We count ourselves very lucky. We get to be involved in lots of really amazing projects with fantastic designers. And we actually get to be involved. Sometimes it's just purely printing, but sometimes they come to us and ask for an idea and a way to execute it, which is pretty exciting. We've worked with most of the speakers here actually. We've done the Patricia coasters that Shay was talking about earlier. We've done invitations for Motherbird. We've done some nice business cards for Stuart. And most recently, Luke Lucas's glow-in-the-dark business cards, which got a bit of press, which was fun. We feel that our design background really helps us to inform the way that we print. We don't usually make it easy for ourselves, and we're always up for a challenge. So these are some of the studio projects that we've done. They're the most fun for us, so they are ones that we initiate ourselves. They don't usually have a brief from an external source, but sometimes we create one in-house just to have something to work to. So we do greeting cards, products, exhibitions, collaborative projects. Sometimes with the exhibitions, there are ones where we ask to submit work. Sometimes there are ones we do ourselves. So we've done 3 exhibitions. We've done a few card ranges, which are flipping through the flannel cards, and then a blank collection, so that's been fun to work on. We've printed on the yellow pages, and we've made our own aerograms. So we really like studio projects because they're things we can just experiment with, have a play with our press, have a play with different processes and ideas, and they're quite fundamental to our studio.
Yeah, the more we kind of thought about all these kind of different projects that we like, we kind of thought that studio projects were the most fundamental to the way we work and the ones that we were most interested in. And, you know, we thought about it, and the Hungry Workshop itself is a massive project, and a project that we really only considered wrapped up a few months ago. I mean, it's still going, we're still open, we're still trading, but it was kind of like a goal that we just finished in May, I think. So we thought it would be interesting to talk about how we went about setting the studio up and kind of where we came from and how we got to the point that we wanted it to be at. It was started as a studio project, but we weren't really a studio when we started letterpress printing. So it's kind of more of a side project, and there's so many people down here in Melbourne. That's why we really like Melbourne. It's full of people doing all sorts of crazy stuff. You know, there's you know, pop-up shops and people making zines and books, and there's things like the IPF. You know, there's people painting crazy nails and making T-shirts and doing all sorts of cool stuff. And like, you know, even things like Stuart Geddes' Head Full of Snakes magazine is a perfect example. It's, you know, it's like a passion project, and yeah, that's what we're going to talk about today, the Hungry Workshop, how it started out as a passion project and turned into our jobs. So hopefully there's some things there that you can apply to your own personal projects. So yeah.
So this is the beginning. Simon and I had both been working for about 6 years. Simon was working in advertising as an art director, and I was working in a graphic design studio. I was just getting a bit sick of being on my computer all day, every day, so I found Bob and Ken, who are in the video, through a neighbor actually, and they taught us how to letterpress print. So they were working up, well, they retired, but they had a big tin shed, and we would go up there and learn how to print on, you know, anything from like hand or foot-treadled hand-fed presses. That was the first thing, and then sort of graduated onto these bigger beasts that if you stood in the wrong spot, they would shoot hot metal at you. So it was a workplace disaster. So we started just hand-setting type, so hand-setting metal type, doing little business cards and Christmas cards and just little things. It was way more about the actual process than the things we were creating.
Yeah, and I think the two really important things about this process was this kind of mentorship that we got from Bob and Ken. They were really, really passionate about what they did. This had been their lifelong careers. And yeah, so we learned a lot from them. And then even before that, back in our previous occupations, we both made a point about working with people that we really found you know, respectful and people that we really admired. And I think that's very important when you're starting out, is to find people that you want to work with. It's not so important as the clients that you work on. It's what you're going to learn, especially at the start. So, and the other thing is, you know, before you start a project, like a studio project, you really have to do your research and your homework. And at this stage, I don't think we really knew that we were doing our research or our homework. We were just kind of doing what we were doing. And, you know, one of the reasons why we like letterpress printing in the first place is, you know, it's really hands-on. Like Jenna said, we got to get up and get away from the computer and make things, which is really beautiful. And it's also, from a design perspective, really restrictive. You know, you've got one or two colours at best. And so you have to rely on, you know, really kind of traditional design techniques, you know, like typography and layout, and, you know, really strip it back. So that's kind of, you know, what happened in the beginning. I guess the catalyst for the Hungry Workshop, so this was kind of like a major turning point in our lives. I don't know if you're familiar with this scene, but it's just a turning point in someone's life. But yeah, so we were printing away for a few years, and we were having a really great time, and we were kind of at this stage where we were kind of really ready to move on. We didn't know where or how or what we were going to do, but we were just kind of ready. We'd recently gotten married, or were about to get married, something like that. And we were toying with the idea of moving to the States because Jenna's American. And so, yeah, we were thinking about leaving, we were ready to go. And then one day, Bob and Ken offered us a printing press. And we thought, that could be really interesting. We could get a press and we could start up a little business, and it could be really cool. And so within about 48 hours, we had decided really, really quickly that we wanted to do this. We wanted to start up a shop, a little design studio, do letterpress printing. We wanted to do it in Melbourne. We wanted to get a shop front. We wanted to put our presses in the window. We wanted to have the studio in the same building, and we wanted to live upstairs. And it was kind of like this ideal kind of little life that we had thought about. And we wanted to print the work of, for ourselves, print our own design work, print projects for our friends, and also print work for designers that we really admired and respected. And there's tons of them in Melbourne, so it kind of made sense to move down here. So. We got to work, and this is where it all kind of got a bit serious. Roughly about 6 months after that, we moved this press into my parents' house, into their living room, and it was a bit of a scary moment. This is not the press that they offered us. The press that they offered us was a bit too rusty, and we were getting a bit sick and tired of trying to restore it. So we found one elsewhere. But I guess the most important thing here, or the most important takeout that we've learnt that we apply to a lot of our studio projects, is you have to put skin in the game, which is a Mike Montero phrase. I don't know if you know him, but if buying a 1.5 ton press it's not cheap. It's a pain to move, and when you're putting it in your parents' house, that's a big deal, and it's a real commitment. So after this point, there's no turning back really. So this is where we started to move the project forward really quickly. So, well, not really quickly, but it got pretty serious after that. So, the biggest takeout for all studio projects, I think, is to be prepared and to get your ducks in a row from the start.
We weren't and still aren't very savvy business people, but we read some books and did some research and asked a lot of friends what to do. We wanted everything sort of locked in before we started talking about it and getting paid work, even if it was going to be a side project still. So we figured out a business name, registered the business name, registered a bunch of domain names. So we did all the .coms, .aus, the thes, the non-thes, the everything. We didn't really realize how long our email address would be, though. That was the only thing. It was a bit of a fail. We registered ABN, we set up a business bank account, we registered for GST because because we're buying lots of supplies, we really wanted to make sure all of that would offset with the GST. And we also set up an accounting system, which is what we still use, called Xero, which is really awesome. It's all online, and it makes it really easy to submit your BAS and do all that sort of stuff. And it has really nice looking charts, so if anyone's looking for one, it's really good. So along with doing all the business stuff, setting all that up, we really just started printing and designing and putting everything that we had into it. It's not really hard to do that as designers, but it's really important. We, with all studio projects or all studios, if the early stages of the work isn't enjoyable or fun, it's not really going to get that much easier. For us, once we had the printing press, access to it all the time, we were there all the time printing, after hours, weekends, anything that we could print on it, we were doing.
After we had a nominal amount of work completed, we put something on one of those domains that we registered, and this website that we made was pretty rubbish. This is actually the second one that we made. And we threw it together really quick, and we put our work up. We put everything that we did up there in the beginnings, and it's all still up there. But it kind of introduced us to this idea of rapid prototyping, and kind of the idea of when you're starting a project, get it up and get it out and get it in front of people and get feedback. And by putting your work out there, this really allowed us to kind of curate the direction of the business. We got better feedback on some projects than we did other projects, and it really kind of helped point us in, a direction. And this kind of thing is also really good for your folio too, like if you're starting out, getting your folio out in front of people and soliciting feedback and actioning that feedback is a really good idea. The other thing is with, the web, it's all really forgiving. It's not like print. If there's a typo, you can fix it. If you don't like your logo, you can change it. So we've kind of constantly been refining our website. This is kind of where it stands at the moment. But it's been, an incredible tool for us. What the most important thing for any kind of website is, or especially like a folio website, is making sure that the communication is good. You want to make sure that you can write about your design and communicate why you've done something and how you've gone about it. That's really key. And the other thing is obviously, the images have to be really good. And for us, that means taking photographs. A lot of our, all of our projects are printed and, we take photographs of them. And doing that allows things to get propagated on the internet, which is, really good for business. We're constantly refining our website. This is one we're working on at the moment. It's a new one.
So after we had the press installed, Brisbane flooded, which sucked. So no matter how prepared you're going to be, there's always going to be weird things that happen. We helped out as much as we could. I think it was something like 4 days after we installed the press. So we were printing in the rain. It was crazy. But anyway, helped out as much as we could, sandbagged everything, helped scoop the mud out. But after that, we were sort of left wanting to do more, but not really sure how. I mean, graphic designers don't really have practical life skills, like carpenters and plumbers and people that could actually help rebuild houses. So we decided that we were going to print something. So it started out as we were going to do a print on our press and put it on our website, and maybe like 3 people would buy it, but that would be good. So instead, we sent out some emails to people whose work we really admired, and most of them said yes. So we had an exhibition about 2 months later called Queen's Lake. 15 different artists and illustrators submit work for it. It was really good fun. We raised quite a bit of money for the flood relief, which was, a really lovely thing. A lot of people came out for it. The best thing that we discovered from the exhibition, though, was that people are really open to emails and you getting in contact with them. If you want to work with someone, just send them an email. It was sort of that easy. All the people that we worked with had a connection to Brisbane. And then people like the letter D, who does really beautiful work, Kevin Finn, redesigned the SBS logo, and Rinzin. Rinzin was one of the first people that said yes, and I think that their name on the headline sort of gave us a lot of clout for the whole exhibition. So that was really fun.
After that, in the next couple of months, we got really, really busy. We worked really long hours, we worked weekends. We'd get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and we would we'd be doing design work, we'd be doing quotes and print production stuff, and then we'd go to our day jobs at 8:30 and work through till 6 or 7 o'clock, and then we'd come home and then we'd keep working. We'd either be doing more design work or we'd be off at my parents' place, printing. And even though we were working 2 jobs at once for about 6 months, it was still a really great experience, and it was a really, really fun time. And I think with studio projects, even though they're studio projects, you'll often find that you're not doing them in studio time. You'll always be doing them after hours and on the side. I mean, it was like the Rituals exhibition. A lot of that happened on the weekend and after hours, and because it's not kind of billable stuff, so you just do it because you want to. And it's these studio projects are risky. They require a lot of investment of time and money and effort, and you don't always get that back. But some of the risks that we took, we quit our jobs. We had really, really kind of nice jobs. We'd been there a long time. We survived the GFC there. They were really secure. We were able to buy a nice little apartment in a nice little suburb. Life was good, but you kind of, if you're passionate about something, you give it up. And so we wanted to do this project, so we did. And we moved back in with my folks. We rented out our apartment, and we had a few projects on, a few small little jobs, but we weren't really sure when our next paycheck was coming. So it was supposed to be for 2 weeks. This is my parents' living room. That's not my parents. They would hate for people to think that that was them, but that's not them. But these guys are lovely. Turned into 2 months. And, work gets in the way of, doing what you want to do. And we wanted to leave, but yeah, this is my parents' living room full of print jobs. They're very accommodating. But yeah, eventually, we kind of cleared the schedule enough to give ourselves a little break, and we road tripped down to Melbourne, and it was a really nice time. We took about 2 weeks. Yeah, during this time, it allowed us to really kind of take stock of what we were doing and how we were going about it. We felt that we were halfway there. The idea was to move to Melbourne and open up a studio with our printing press. And we were moving to Melbourne. We were like, yeah, this is pretty good. We're halfway there. But we were blowing a lot of our money. It's expensive to move your life and expensive to move a printing press and that kind of stuff. So we started to think about contingency plans, and we thought, maybe one of us are going to have to get a job, or maybe both of us are going to have to get a job. Bureau North was hiring at the time. That looked really appealing. But yeah, we decided not to. We decided to kind of hold on and hold out for a little bit longer. Yeah, we stayed hungry. We managed to find 2 really nice landlords. My grandmother moved into a nursing home. And so we were able to stay in her apartment while we were getting established down here in Melbourne. So that was really great. We weren't able to put our printing press in there, unfortunately. But we did find Raf, the guy who owns the taco truck and Beatbox Kitchen. He just moved into a warehouse, and he had a little kind of showroom out the front that was empty, and he gave us ridiculously cheap rent, which was, really fortunate. But, we were kind of really busy, but we didn't have tons of money. We ate a lot of peanut butter and jam sandwiches, and, we found the cheapest rent in Melbourne, and the cheapest wine in Melbourne. That's what it says. Yeah, which is at the Paran Markets. Jenna can tell you all about it after this. This is Jenna kind of mopping it out, and Raf also gave us these 2 lovely desks. And so, we didn't have an internet connection or anything. We were just kind of running the business through our mobile phones, and we went over our data plans a couple of times, but we survived. But yeah, one of the key things that we did when we got down here was, using social networks. And we were already on it previously, when we were kind of getting established in Brisbane. But we found that, when we got down here, it was really, really useful tool. Facebook's good. You get really high quality traffic through Facebook, lots of click-throughs and stuff. But Twitter's fantastic. There's a lot of people out there in the design community who are really into what they do, and it's especially in Melbourne, it's a really good tool. We met some really interesting people. One of our favourites is probably Spencer Harrison. I don't know if he's here, but he's probably the closest thing that we've got to a business coach. He's kind of going through a similar thing as to us, and he's constantly sending us heaps of great information, and you can really find good people doing good things. He also helped us rip up carpet in our studio when we found the right one. So yeah, it's good. Get on it. I would highly recommend it.
After 6 months in Melbourne, we finally found the right spot. We looked at quite a few places around town. We found a place on High Street in Northcote, which is where we are now. It was everything that we've been looking for. It was big warehouse space, had the shop front, studio, storage room, apartment up the back, and also a big giant door out the back to get the printing presses in, which is key. So by this point in time, we scraped enough money to pay rent for a few months, and so we started the renovations on the shop. So this is the shop gutted. It was a upholstery shop before, so there was carpet on every possible wall, curtains, weird tables that were made out of upholstery straps, and it was crazy. So we gutted the whole thing, pushed all the garbage all the way out the back, knocked down a few walls. I think we knocked down 3 walls in there. And then painted the floor, painted all the walls, built another wall, put the presses in, still going, and then built a wall so we had a separate shop front area that we could corner off to use as shop front. but we still weren't quite there. We still had paper up on the windows for a few months, just trying to get everything finished and working and printing and designing and get everything done. Work sort of got in the way for a while. We sort of found that with studio projects, you'll get most of the way there and then something else will get in the way and it'll just sit for a little while. So we really needed a deadline.
The best motivator is a deadline. So we put together another exhibition. It was called Trophy Lives, and we put a date on it. We put some artwork together. We got a bunch of artists that we had been in contact with since moving down. We put it up on the internet. We sent out invitations. The invitations kind of look like this. And so the idea for the exhibition was to thank everybody for their help along the way and support and being clients and allowing us to kind of, do what we wanted to do. The idea for the invitation was a participants trophy that we could fill out and send to people. And that really informed the content of the rest of the exhibition. We made the theme trophies, and so everybody printed trophies. This one is by Letitia Buchan. It's a beautiful one by Amo Donnelly. This next one is Tin and Ed, and this one's based on Jacques Cousteau's underwater trophy cabinet, which is really weird. This is Drunk Park, which is really cool. This one says, "If at first you don't succeed, try again until you bleed," which we thought was really cool. And then this last one is Victory Club by Irian Chapman, which is really nice. But yeah, so we had all this artwork printed and we got it framed, and we had a bunch of people kind of RSVP'd and everybody was coming, and so we had to do those finishing touches. It really spurred us on to finish what we'd started. And so we got the signage up, we got the vinyl on the windows, and we swept for the first time. We mopped the floors for the first time, and then we ripped down the paper on the windows, and we finally opened up. And it was really great, and it was really satisfying, and it kind of ended this project that we had started a very long time ago, and it was kind of, now all we have to do is work, which is great. So these are kind of the takeouts. You got to be prepared, take risks. You got to, when the times get tough, you got to hold on and always be motivated to finish them up. If you're going to do something, do it well and get it done, and stay hungry.